Hey everybody, welcome back out to the range. It's Trigger Bar Philosopher. Today we've got an exciting update video. We're going to be taking another look at the PSA Dagger Micro C1. I've had some problems with it. I thought I had them fixed. Did some more testing. Definitely didn't even have fixed. I even had a whole video where I showed how I fixed it. That didn't work. This video, we're going to show how we fixed it. Stay tuned. Let's find out if it's working now. Okay, so if you've been following the channel, you'll know that I have been doing a whole series on the PSA Dagger Micro C1. That's with an integrated compensator on top. And almost from the first video that I had it, I started having some light primer strikes. And I went through a series of, oh yeah, it's working, oh yeah, it wasn't, it was break-in period, and now it's fine. And then I even replaced a spring set in it with a regular Glock 43X spring set in it, the firing pin assembly spring. And then I ended up going with a heavier spring. Went with, instead of the normal 5.5 pound spring, I went with a 6 pound spring. And the 6 pound spring did a little bit better, but man, the recoil off of the trigger on that heavy spring was bad, and it was punching holes in the primers. So at that point I decided, I'm probably beyond my abilities, so I sent it back to Palmetto State Armory. And I want to give a shout out to Palmetto because reached out to them, no questions asked. They said, sure, send it in. They sent me stuff to free ship it back from my house or from the local UPS store straight back to them. And within a couple of weeks, I had it back at my doorstep and ready to start firing again. So they even sent me a video of them firing it and showing what they had done with it. So why don't we see if we can duplicate that and see if everything's fixed, and we'll get into what happened, so stay tuned. This is my Dagger Micro. For those of you who have been watching, you'll notice it has this factory trigger back in it. It has the no optic on it, and so we're just back to, it still has the grip modules or the grip tape on it, but just back to just a regular pistol, and because that's how I want to make sure that it's working and functioning in this, and we'll start slowly adding back those features in. One of the unique parts about this pistol is that you'll notice is that it does have an integrated comp on it and so into the slide. But I don't think, some people have said that's the problem with the light primer strikes, but one of the benefits of this comp integrated, or the integrated into the slide, is that typically does not cause light primer strikes. So let's get to shoot. Okay, these are the first shots after getting it back from the factory. One really cool thing that they did for me was that they gave me an extra magazine. I really do appreciate that because these magazines aren't particularly that cheap. So, but yeah, so what I have in here is some Underwood 68 grain plus P. Usually that has functioned, but I have had a light primer strike on that. So let's just get to shooting this. Yeah, that seemed to function just fine. Up next, I've got some 147 grain. See what happens with that. Okay, that seems to function just fine. Believe now we have some 115 grain, and that's where I typically had the problems with it. And then we're going to follow it up with just some plain old vanilla 124 grain. Okay, well, everything seems to be running great. Let's just talk about things that they did with the gun. All right, well, we saw that the Dagger Micro C1 worked well, so what did they have to do with it? Well, it's an interesting story because what they found was that the extractor, the hole was not seating deep enough. The extractor claw that grabs the bullet as before it's going to throw it out and it pulls it into position was actually pushing the bullet a little bit forward, and so you weren't getting a complete striker seat. And the reason for that claw not being in as far is that the the tolerance for the channel for that extractor wasn't right, and the combination of that barrel, that extractor, and that slide was not a good one. So what they did was they replaced the whole slide for me, which I was super excited about. They gave me my barrel back. I'm not sure what they, the other internals of it, but everything's running great. I really appreciate what they've done and getting it working. I do know that there are quite a few people that I've read online that are having very similar light primer strikes. So if you're having this, I would highly encourage you to reach out to Palmetto. Don't be afraid. They'll take care of you. They'll get it working and get it functioning. And I think that we're back on. I'm super excited this pistol is working as I've had it in so many other tests that have been working for, but I'm super glad that it's back out and functioning well, and really appreciate the folks at Palmetto for taking care of me. And I'm not pimping their website. I have no affiliation with them at all. I paid for this with my own money and my own funds, but I'm just doing this to share what I did to resolve my issues. Okay, we've got the dot back on and the tactical pontoon trigger back in, Peacemaker. We're just going to try and get this dot sighted in. I think the dot's sighted in, and I'm just pulling them. Hope everyone has a great day, and let's get to shooting.